Jamahal Hill, the former UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, has been making excuses as to why he lost to Alex Pereira at UFC 300 a few weeks ago. Now, I'm a little bit late to this subject, but it's because I can only get one video out a day, and there's so much to cover. But there's also been some recent developments of people coming to Jamahal Hill's defense, and I have felt compelled to cover this subject. So we're going to take a look at the excuses that Jamahal Hill's been saying since the fight. We're going to look at the people who were defending Jamahal Hill. We're going to take into account what Jamahal Hill's game plan was. We're going to actually take a look at the fight and truly see if he's delusional or not. And by the way, I appreciate everyone who's subscribed in the last few days and everyone who's been liking the videos. You guys have pulled through. I recently got a copyright strike 3 weeks ago and it killed me channel off, but you guys have helped bring it back a little bit this past week. So for that, I appreciate you. If you want to help the cause and help me get through this, just watch all the video, like it, and make sure you subscribed with notifications turned on. That's it. Anyway, back to the subject matter. Before we dive into Jamahal Hill's excuses, he's also got a new fight booked, and I think he had this fight booked 6 days after that nasty KO at UFC 300. And this upcoming fight is against Khalil Roundtree, and this is going to be a big one. It's a dangerous fight for Jamahal Hill, especially coming off that KO. We're not going to do a breakdown today, but make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Anyway, before we talk about Jamahal Hill's excuses, let's refresh our memory what actually happened. Jamahal was doing pretty good in the first couple minutes of the fight. He landed a few leg kicks, a few body jabs, nothing that was really doing any damage. Then he hit Alex Pereira with a low blow to the groin, to the old ball sack. Herb Dean, the ref, stepped in to make sure Alex Pereira was okay, and Alex Pereira done this to Herb Dean as if to say, get back, I'm completely fine. Then a few seconds later, after that incident, Alex Pereira closed in the distance and KO'd Jamahal Hill. It was 100% a legit KO. However, Jamahal Hill has been making excuses. Here's what he said.
My thoughts on the fight were how I felt in the fight. I felt good in the fight. Heading into the fight, I felt that in the fight I was doing good things. I was moving around. I felt I controlled the distance. I was controlling the position. I was controlling all the things, working through my game plan. Everything was working fine. I was able to find really good lead leg kicks that were able to hit the calf, inside leg kicks. I was finding the teep to the body. Finding my roundhouse, I was able to find straight shots to the body.
The majority of the stuff he just said then was actually wrong. He wasn't really controlling the distance. Jamahal Hill spent a lot of the fight with his back against the fence over that golden line. Alex Pereira never moved from the center of the ring. It was Alex who was controlling the engagements the entire time. And also the majority of the shots that Jamahal Hill landed were pretty insignificant.
Find my strikes and my tools, and I had him biting off of feints.
I've watched the fight back. Alex Pereira doesn't bite on any feints. Sorry, Jamahal.
There was a fight, and a lot of people I've seen the controversy of people speaking on the stoppage and things like that with Herb after I kicked Alex in the hip, and it appeared to be a low blow.
It didn't appear to be a low blow. It was a low blow. You can literally hear Jamahal Hill's foot ricochet off the cup.
I'm just gonna say, just protect yourself at all times, you know. Wow, my feelings on it, honestly, just don't matter, you know, just for the simple fact, a lot of people didn't like how I sold the fight. They didn't like the build up to the fight, you know. They don't like me personally.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like how he sold the fight. Maybe it was because of this.
But each time I see somebody try to fight a kickboxer in a kickboxer realm, they tend to get to knock their ass knocked out like Jury did, right? But from my perspective, what you're saying, you're telling me is that you're gonna go in there intelligently, you're gonna put him where he's the weakest at, and basically make it easy, make it look real easy. Do you think that's credited to your...
I'm not talking about even just, I'm talking about striking.
Oh, you're gonna knock him out?
Yeah, bro. I gotta shut him down at what he does the best and put him to sleep in where everybody sees him as just this unbelievably untouchable guy. You know, that's the way it has to be done in my eyes. That's the way I have to do it.
Man, it's
I can
confident.
do it another way. I can take him down.
That clip will forever live on as nothing short of incredible.
Just protect yourself at all times and pay attention and stay focused at all times.
and yet you should protect yourself at all times, but I actually don't think that comes into play here, because although Herb Dean stepped in the middle of them and Jamahal Hill relaxed, he also got back into the game and was able to throw one of his own punches. We'll talk about that in a second.
I took no damage. Most of the fall was me falling down. I remember everything. I remember looking up, seeing his legs. I remember him coming in, trying to block, trying to reach for the underhook. He's able to land some shots and kind of throw my equilibrium off on the other side. But I was coherent the whole time, throughout and through for the most part.
You know what I'm going to say here, don't you? Jamahal said he took no damage. Well, yeah, that's debatable. The thing is, when you get concussed or when you get knocked out, it might not be superficial damage, but it's internal damage. The brain takes a long time to heal. When you talk about someone having a good chin, it's not so much the chin we're talking about, it's the brain. Because when the brain gets rattled around in the skull, that's what shuts you off and makes you unconscious. And the fact that Jamahal Hill has taken this fight against Khalil Roundtree on such short notice after such a brutal knockout, and he's talking about how he took no damage. Come on, Jamahal, you got to think about that internal damage, the damage that you can't see. He also said most of the fall was me falling down, which sounds like that CTE is already setting in. I'm only joking, Jamahal, if you're watching this. And then he also said he was trying to block as Pereira was raining down the ground and pound. Not really, but look, I'll give fighters the benefit of the doubt. Some of this is the ego talking, and guys, you know I like to try and be a little bit intellectual at times and be self-aware. We all need the ego. I think I said it in yesterday's video or the day before. The ego is essential for survival, so I'm all for it. When I say it's someone's ego talking, I don't even mean it in an insulting manner. We've all got an ego, and fighters will naturally come up with these reasons or excuses, whatever you want to call them, after the fight in order to be able to keep their confidence intact. So although this video might seem like it's being negative, it's really not. Now, not long after Jamahal Hill got knocked out, we had people like Daniel Cormier coming to his defense. Check it out.
Herb Dean made a mistake, because while we are all lost in the idea of Herb goes to step in, Alex puts his hand out, Herb steps back. When you have an illegal strike, they are saying that they should have been separated, and then they come back together as a fresh restart. It didn't happen. Very short time later, Alex landed the shot that put Jamahal down. I'm not taking a side in this deal. What you make of that, the idea of generally when an illegal strike happens, they separate the athletes, they come back together, and then the fight restarts, wherein in that moment, felt like Alex had said, I've got my timing, I've got my foot placement. He went and landed. They feel like they were much closer than they should have been.
Now listen, Daniel Cormier, he's a legend. I'm not claiming that I know more than him. He's one of my all-time favourite fighters, but he's straight up wrong here. The person who gets kicked in the balls should not be punished. Daniel Cormier, Jamahal Hill, and now Joe Rogan, which we'll get to in a minute, are all saying that Alex Pereira took advantage of that moment where Herb Dean stepped in by taking a couple steps closer to Jamahal Hill and closing the distance, whilst Jamahal Hill was relaxed with his hands up. And that's why Jamahal Hill's saying, look, it's protect yourself at all times, but it was caught off guard. But why should the person who was kicked in the balls be punished for being kicked in the balls? Jamahal Hill kicked Alex in the cup, which you heard. Alex grabbed the cup. Then Herb Dean stepped in, and Alex took a little hop in and was like, it's okay. And then look, Jamahal Hill seemed completely ready once the fight was resumed. Alex Pereira was a little bit closer, but that's not the ref's fault. That's your fault for kicking him in the balls. Put it this way, let's imagine that Herb Dean never stepped in. Alex Pereira still has the right to punch Jamahal Hill, even though Herb Dean hasn't stepped in. So Alex Pereira didn't do anything wrong, and this weird incident doesn't invalidate the KO whatsoever. And now even Joe Rogan is somewhat coming to the defense of Jamahal Hill. Check it out.
And then I watched it again. I was like, there's kind of a point there. And I think Jamahal saying, I would have never let him that close to me if it wasn't for that nut shot. And I didn't know exactly what was going on. So here we see this. So, you know, the fight had restarted. The fight had restarted, but would that position have taken place if it wasn't for Jamahal relaxing? Giving him the thumbs up.
So you know, like, not his fight. So my fight, the number one thing when I was going with Justin was just be on all the time.
Right.
Like, just fucking max. Like, I was just in the back telling myself, mentally, physically, you need to be here every fucking second. 1 millisecond off, lights can turn off, Max. You need to be on. With that, like, if I was in a situation, I don't give a what the, I would have told Herb Dean, motherfucker, are we going? Like, I would have been like, come on. Like, I still
Right.
would have been ready, you know? Like, it's protect yourself at all times, you know?
So you see the distance that Jamal's maintaining initially. Then he throws the kick. Now watch this. They pause.
Look how
Jamal
far- yeah,
thumbs up.
yeah.
But Pereira has closed the gap now.
Right there, yeah, look how close he is.
He's closed the gap a lot more than Jamal probably would have let him. And so once he does that little hop in, he takes advantage of that moment to close the gap.
Right.
So he touches it, he close the distance, while Jamal's legs are straight. So Jamal gives him the thumbs up, and Pereira had a double hop. He's got a point here. It's not a perfect point because they had engaged again.
I know what you mean.
Pereira had closed that gap to a point where Jamal was not letting him do that early.
But then again, like, you know, playing devil advocate, you know, nothing but love for Jamal, but bro, you need to be locked in there.
You need to be
cares, you know, like you're fighting another dangerous man, a man across you that you know each other. You guys land one good shot, you guys both can put each other away. It's like, I don't know, bro.
So we had Joe Rogan talking about one side of the coin, saying that whilst Jamahal Hill was standing upright with his legs locked out, Alex Pereira was able to hop forward twice and close that distance in that weird, confusing moment where Herb Dean temporarily stopped the fight. So taking a look here, Jamahal Hill hits him in the groin, Herb Dean steps in, Alex Pereira's already taken 2 hops forward, and then they resume here at this new distance. But I'm glad that Max Holloway was saying there that, look, it's protect yourself at all times. When I was fighting Dustin, I was on, I was tuned in, I was focused. Do you remember that a few weeks ago when he was fighting Justin Gaethje? Max Holloway was like this. His eyes were wide. He looked like he was on drugs like that. Never seen him fight like that before. You could tell how tuned in and how focused he was. So Max is saying that Jamahal Hill should be like that. It should be a conscious decision to always be tuned in. If you kick the guy in the balls, who cares? Until the referee stops you, don't relax. So a lot of people are saying that Jamahal Hill is making excuses here. I personally just think it's his way of dealing with the loss. It was a completely legit KO. Okay, Alex Pereira closed the distance by 2 little footsteps. But Alex Pereira was also the one who was kicked in the balls. The person who was kicked in the balls should not be punished. Herb Dean shouldn't have to take the ball kicked victim away from the fight and reset them and allow them to be at Jamahal Hill's distance. No, the person who got kicked in the balls was like, no, I'm fine, let's go. When this stuff happens, fights aren't always completely reset. Sometimes it's just a little moment and then it's continue on. But anyway, excuses or not, Jamahal Hill fighting Khalil Roundtree on the McGregor card on International Fight Week. That's going to be crazy. What do you guys think? Is Jamahal Hill making excuses? Are you on Jamahal Hill's side or Alex Pereira's side? Comment your thoughts down below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe for daily MMA, boxing and fighting videos. Appreciate you all. See you tomorrow.